sales training. I hope everybody's ready to have a big week. We're coming off a lot of momentum from the weekend. We had multiple events across the country. We had our big Ranger Gala down in Tampa / Miami there last weekend. We had the Millionaire Mingle out in Scottsdale that went exceptionally well, and then we had Fight Night out in Temecula, California, featured by Frank Swalski. So, I'm expecting us to have a pretty big week this week. And if anybody tuned in last week to hear Jay Horton's input on, the way he does things and all the knowledge that he shared with us, that was great. And I really appreciate him stepping in last week and covering for me while I was running a meeting elsewhere. So I appreciate it, Jay, if you're out there. If anybody has any questions and answers, if anybody's been running into any type of objections that they want me to go over, different things, make sure you drop it in the Q&A chat. And before we get started here, I'm going to start recording.
Recording in progress.
There we go. And it still looks like we have several people joining on with us here. So, like I said, if you're just getting on here, if you have any questions about anything, if you've been running into, certain objections that you just don't know how to overcome, anything that I can help with, make sure you drop it into the Q&A chat. I'll be able to see that real time here while I'm going over things. But this week, what I really wanted to discuss is, the follow-up. I think, a lot of us have been out there, nose to the grindstone, working hard, sharing the word, spreading the message with people. And I know a lot of people out there are trying, and they're not really having much traction, right? Well, one of the big things is especially when I got started earlier this year with this, there's not a lot of people that just buy with the first phone call, right? Or the first time you talk to them, right? If you talk to any of these sales gurus out there, or any of our big sales guys, network marketers that are in this, they'll tell you fortune's in the follow-up, and that's a term that's always been thrown out in the sales industry. And it's as true as true can be. I mean, the fortune is in the follow-up. And the key to, what makes these guys super great out there is how they follow up, right? One of the big problems with following up, or what a lot of people struggle with, is after you talk to somebody once or twice and tried to sign them up, try to get them on board, tried to get them to understand what our mission is, and they just don't get it. How do you keep consistently following up with these people? And I see William here. I just have a hard time with follow-up. People always tell me they will enroll, interested. So I come back a couple weeks later, more of the same, right? And so that's what we're going to be talking about, is how do we follow up with these people? How do we keep them engaged? How do we keep them going and end up closing that sale? And one of the most important things, I hear it a lot too, is the onboarding right now. You need to make sure that you already have USDC or, some type of crypto that you can pay and onboard people. Super simple. I've been saying it week after week after week that, you need to make this whole onboarding process extremely simple. And, what I've always done is I always, give people two options, right? You can either go through the website, sign up with Coinbase, wait a week, blah, 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 until the hold time's up, and then go through our website, mindtxe.com, and sign up yourself. Or I can sign you up right now. You can write a check to me. I'll turn your money into crypto, and I send payment in for you. And still to this day, I haven't had anybody that has had any problem with that, right? So if you make it easy for these folks, that's going to help you in the long run as well. But with the follow-up, the people that have a solid follow-up game is going to be the people that end up selling the most. And I'll tell you from firsthand experience, every single person that you share this with will sign up eventually. They will, if you stay on them, if you continue to share it with them, if you can continue to answer their objections and handle those, they will sign up eventually. I've had multiple of my best friends tell me how this was a scam, how we've gotten into it, almost screaming, yelling at each other. People tell me how crypto's a scam. All those people have signed up today, right? So they will come around eventually, I promise you. And so one of my best friends is from the hunting industry. He's just a good old boy, doesn't know much about technology, crypto for the most part, and he's the guy that told me earlier this year, Bitcoin's a scam. In 2025, Bitcoin worth $120,000 like it was back in April, May, June of this year. And he goes, Bitcoin's just a big scam. All crypto's a scam, right? And, I consistently followed up with him. It took me months and months and months. But here in late September, he finally joined on with us, right? And he come in with a full 9-pack. And so I can tell you and I can assure you that everybody will sign up eventually. You just have to continue following up with them. And the follow up is not extremely hard. You just have to throw some bait out there or send the right message that initiates the conversation again. That's the whole point with the follow up. And you don't want to be out there texting someone back, say, hey, I'm just following up with you, or calling them, cold calling them out of the blue. Hey, I'm just following up with you. You're not going to get anywhere with that. Some of the best follow up stuff that I've seen out there is the most blunt, frankly. And some people, not only me, but I know some other people that's had some really good success is, after you first, contacted someone, maybe you've texted them, piqued their interest, you sat down, you've had the conversation with them or had the conversation over the phone with them. And now you're just not, they're not responding, right? Oh yeah, I'll sign up. That sounds interesting. Get back with me in a couple weeks, what have you. And then you've reached out and they're not responding, right? It happens to all of us. It's normal, right? And the biggest thing with the follow up is you don't want to sound too salesy, right? You don't want to have a big script, right? You want to keep it short and to the point. Something simple that I've always used is I'd reach out to somebody that I've told this about or shared this message with, and if I haven't heard anything from them for a little bit, or if I've waited a day or two, I might just text them something real simple, something really short, and just said, hey, hey, John, is this crypto thing something that you decided against, right? Or, something just very simple like that. If you already put that out there for them saying, oh, did you decide against this? A lot of times somebody will say, oh, no, 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 no. I was just thinking, I've been meaning to get back with you. It's been on my mind, something like that. Or, oh, I had a question about this, right? And then you've started that conversation again. That's the whole goal with that, right? So it doesn't have to be a real in-depth long message or a real in-depth long phone call, right, that you have with people when you're following up. It just has to be something short, to the point, and something that initiates the conversation again. And so, that one's been a real killer out there when you just say, "Oh, hey, William, did you decide against this TEXITcoin I've been telling you about?" And more often than not, you're gonna get some type of response. And with that type of message, you're either gonna get, "Oh, no, 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 I've been thinking about, I've been meaning to get back with you, yada yada yada, just been busy, whatever," or you pull out that objection. If they say, "Oh no, I don't, it's not for me, I think it's a scam," or, "I'm not into multi-level marketing." I've had that one before, right? I had a guy I shared this with back in April. He'd been posting, we're Facebook friends, hadn't really talked to him in a long time, probably been like 14, 15 years since I've talked to him. And I seen that he was posting a bunch of crypto stuff on Facebook. And I go, all right, I'm gonna message that guy out of the blue. And I share this TEXITcoin with him, and end up going back and forth a couple times. And he goes, "Hey, listen, like I'm not looking at getting into any type of multi-level marketing thing or anything like this, right?" And I'm like, "Hey, that's not what this is. Let's have a conversation. Let's sit down. Let's do a Zoom call. Let's do a phone call. Let's get together and talk about this, because I don't think whatever you've seen out there, you know, that's not what this is. You need to learn. You need to learn more about it, right? And I think that's where, if you truly come from a heart of service, right, and you try to educate people about what this is, what TEXITcoin is, what our mission is, and you're genuine, you're authentic, people can feel that, right? And if you're sharing this with people, and like I said, you're genuine, you're authentic, and you're trying to educate people about this new thing, crypto, right? Or this all things crypto, and you can slip TEXITcoin in there too. So there's different ways to go about it. So that way you're very non-threatening. It's very non-salesy, because when you come to people and you're trying to share an opportunity with them, most people have heard it 1,000 times and they're like, no, 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 right? They don't want to be receptive of what you're telling them, and you're already going to be getting that no, before you can even get all this information to them and educate them about it. So you got to make sure that you break people's walls down, and they're receptive of the information. But that follow up, after that first initial sharing with them, phone call, what have you, that follow up of, hey, did you decide against it? That's kind of what we call a takeaway. It works really good. It worked for me extremely great to get people talking again, right? To initiate that conversation again. Some other things, we're going to get into some tactics here, some stuff that I've been using, that's worked well. Another thing that you can do, what I like to use is I'll text somebody, right? I'll text somebody in my contact list, and I'll go, hey, have I told you about this TEXITcoin thing yet? With an exclamation point. And I'll send that to them. And then I'll follow that up immediately, like within a minute, and say, oops, sorry, wrong person, right? And it piques people's interest. Whether you wanted to talk to them about it, or whether you're just going through your contact list and you're just just trying to find people to talk to about this. I like to do that a lot. I'd like to send somebody, or send the Bobby Gray, TEXITcoin explained in 7-minute video. Send that out, and then follow that up with, oops, sorry, wrong person. And boom, you get that. It seems like you get that conversation started a lot easier than just trying to figure out, hey, how am I going to bring this up to somebody, right? So I don't feel like I'm selling them something, or pitching a new opportunity to them, or say, hey, I've been gotten this TEXITcoin thing, I want to tell you about it, right? Most people, or a lot of people, may not respond, may ghost you for a few days, something like that. But if you follow that up with, oops, sorry, wrong person, right? It piques people's interest. It grabs them. And then they go, wait, what is this? And then boom, you have that conversation started. Then you can go into it, right? Then you can ask people like, hey, well, what do you know about crypto? John, what do you know about crypto? And usually you can pull out of them, what type of, what level of crypto knowledge they have, or if they've done anything in crypto before, um, or something like that, right? But that text messaging, and that following up with something that piques their interest, that grabs their interest, and then initiates that conversation. That's the most important to that follow up. Lady Kim says, are we going to have to push to play presentation to share? I'm not sure what you mean. Okay, can everybody hear me all right? Am I like breaking up, or freezing, or anything like that? Is that what you're talking about? No? Okay. Um, okay, so Lady Kim says, is corporate going to make a video presentation we can share? Probably not from corporate. There's a lot of videos out there. There's a lot of people that make videos, that are sharing them through Telegram, that are sharing them on YouTube. There's a lot of tools out there already. So I don't expect to. I wouldn't have you expect that corporate is going to make you, um, a video presentation to share. Now, I think Tim Blake mentioned last week that he was going to try to put some videos together or something like that. But no, I don't think corporate's going to make a whole lot of videos. But everything that Bobby does, like everything that Bobby does, is recorded, and it's at our hands. So whether it's through a Zoom call through the back office, that's recorded, you can go back and watch or share, or people now are turning those into YouTube videos and taking short clips, right? And doing tons of YouTube content, tons of videos out there that you can share with people. Now, if you're talking about a slideshow, where do we get a slideshow to do a presentation? There's multiple slideshows out there. I have one that I can share with you. I can drop it into our Telegram chat. I think I have it right here. I usually have it saved in messages. And it's going to be, I'm going to go ahead with this Telegram chat right now. If you go under the miners chat, under objections and right now. But it's just a basic PowerPoint. It's not something, it's okay. I like it. I do. It's to the point. But you have to really fill in with the story, between that. It's not something you're just going to press play and just let it go for somebody, right? It's basically a guideline that I use, and I form my story, and that's my slideshow that hits all the bullet points. But it's something that you're going to have to kind of make your own too. So you can use that. It's a great framework, right? It's got all the bullet points in it, everything that you want to cover. But you're going to have to do more of a story with it for people to understand everything, right? So, that's something that, there's tons of other slideshows out there. If you just reach out to anybody in the Telegram group, I know there's multiple people that have really good, more professional looking slideshows than I do, I'm sure. But yeah, they're more than happy to share them with you. So you can ask the group out there to see if you can get some other options, and then you can maybe find something that you like and something that works for you. Ladies Kim says, what is the best video to share? I'm using crowdfunding lately. So I don't typically send a whole lot of videos. I don't typically text out or message out a whole lot of websites or videos. I like talking to people. I like being in person. The thing that makes TEXITcoin different and makes it unique is our personal touch, right? We are a community of people. We're not just crowdfunding a mine, right? We're crowdfunding it with money, but then there's also what Bobby calls heart power into this as well. And that's our community of 47,000 miners, right? So if you're out there, I know there's other guys out there, there's these big network marketers like Mike Healy and the Thomas Dubois, the Carl Wiltz, some of our big leadership guys that are really good at building these systems that people, just follow through and watch some YouTube videos. They have their funnel systems, but for most of us, that's not something that's gonna work, right? And so I know Mike Healy's system, his funnel system is pretty much free to everybody. Everybody can use it, where you can put your own stuff in there, your own affiliate IDs and stuff like that, or at least have them go through his stuff and learn about the project and everything. But what I've had so much success in is that person to person, right? Spending the time talking with people, getting them together, whether it's my house or their house or wherever, at an event or what have you, and sitting down and going through this, and showing and talking about it. And, I know a lot of people don't like to do that, but that's where I've had the success. That's what works for me. I like to be in front of people, person to person, sharing, talking, showing them everything about this. Because again, the most important thing about TEXITcoin is the transparency behind this as well that Bobby does, but you're not going to find that online, right? That's only really available in our Telegram group that's shared with us, right? And that's the pictures of the mining equipment, the dashboard. Even though everybody has access to the dashboard, they don't know what that means unless you go over it with them, right? So it takes that personal touch of sitting down with people, having a beer, sitting down, going over stuff, showing them all the pictures and showing them why this is real and it's not a scam. Because in the back of everybody's mind, this is just a scam. Just another crypto scam, right? And it's our job to educate them to the point that they know that this isn't just another scam. This is real. This is real people with a real mission, a real purpose, and that's why TEXITcoin is going to succeed, right? And so the best video to share is, I do send out some the TEXITcoin explained in 7 minutes by Bobby himself. You really can't beat anything by sharing anything else besides what Bobby does, because Bobby's the best at it. But I know there's a lot of people that share a lot of other things too. Like there's not just one thing, right? Because everybody's different. So you kind of have to figure out what type of person you're dealing with and send them what they're gonna, feel like is the best for them. It's like what Jay said last week, right? If your cousin Bob is a car salesman or whatever in the sales industry, and they want that nice, perfect picture, professional done video, Mike Healy's stuff is great. But if it's Aunt Susie over here and she likes the person to person, the more laid back, genuine, easygoing person, then maybe something like Jason Birch's videos or somebody else's videos out there that's more real and more, or not more real, but just not so higher production, where it's more personable and more laid back is better for that person, right? That's the whole thing about sales, right? Every single person we deal with is a little bit different. It's our job to kind of feel that person out and feel what kind of buyer they are, right? We always called it in the last industry I was in, what type of buyer, what level buyer they are, what type of personality they are, and then you have to tailor your presentation to that customer, right? And so with TEXITcoin, I've always made it very like nonchalant. Hey, I'm going to tell you about something. I don't care what you do with it, but until you know everything about this, you're not going to be able to know, if it's good for you or not. So we might as well sit down and talk about it, right? And so, kind of forcing people into having that conversation, I've done really well with. And once I get in front of somebody, after I've messaged them on the phone, had a phone call with them, what have you, once I've got that appointment set and I can now get in front of somebody, that's where I'm going to close them. And I'm going to put them in and I'm going to sign them up right there when I'm with them. And I'm not going to wait. I'm not going to wait till the next day. I'm not going to wait for them to get back to me. I'm not going to let them think about it. I'm not going to do that. I have the means where I can, pay for them right through the back office, pay for crypto, have them write me a check, take their money, and be all done before I ever leave their house or before I ever leave, wherever we're at. And so that's what you want to do. You want to first reach out to them, set the appointment, share a little bit of info with them, whether it's sending them the website or a video or what have you, and then follow up with something that starts that conversation again so you can set that appointment. You can set that meeting. And there's a lot of different ways you can go about following up, but at the end of the day, you have to keep it short, to the point, and you have to feed them a little bit. That way you can initiate that conversation again. And I always like using the oops, wrong person text too. Even if you've already talked to them, even if you've already sent them the information or something like that, and now they haven't responded to you or you haven't been able to set that appointment, you can go back to them and say, oh, hey, I just learned something new, about XYZ or this or that. And then send that to them and then say, oops, sorry, wrong person. That works almost all the time. So it gets people, it catches the attention, because it's something different. And it just starts that conversation again. And if they're really ghosting you, again, this isn't for everybody, right? You're not going to sign up every single person. Some people, it just takes more time. But if you know those types of people, then like, as time goes along, you can find something that, that they can relate to, and you can send them that. So like my buddy that was from the hunting industry, that took months and months and months, that told me all crypto is a scam, even Bitcoin's a scam. I don't know where it was, but there was some picture on Telegram with a TEXITcoin banner right next to a, it was like an outdoors exhibit thing. They had a like shoulder mounted animals, right next to them or whatever. And whatever that picture was on Telegram, I took that off of there and I sent it to him. And I go, well, it looks like TEXITcoin has infiltrated the hunting community now, and it was just enough at the right time to where he sends back an LOL, and we then had a conversation, and I was able to break him down and get him signed up, with a 9-pack, right? So everybody's different, but if you kind of know who you're talking to, then you kind of have a better way of finding out what you want to send to them as well. So again, it's not just what best video is to share, it's what best video is to share with that person too, right? And so that's one thing that we got to do is kind of figure out, what type of buyer they are. And if you don't know these people at all, like I don't know anybody out there that's just reaching out to just random people on their maybe their contact list or something on their phone. But I understand there's a lot of people on Facebook. You're throwing stuff out on Facebook or something, trying to grab people's attention. One thing that worked for me on Facebook is being extremely cocky. I was posting stuff and I was saying stuff like, think it's a scam now, posting pictures of our mining equipment, posting pictures of how much money we brought into this project, and just simply saying, what do y'all think it's a scam now? Just being, real cocky. And that seemed to get more people's attention, at least to reach out to me and start the conversation, rather than just sharing information, right? If you're just sharing information, without having some type of hook, right, or some type of attention grabbing message, then you're not really going to get anywhere, right? A lot of times you need to do something that stands out a little bit to grab people's attention, to at least start that conversation. And so you don't have to be as cocky, or maybe that's the wrong word, but you don't have to do that. It's just something that did work for me, and it's worked pretty well. But everybody's different. Everybody's gonna have a different audience. Everybody, at least on my Facebook, pretty well knows me. I'm not really out there advertising or broadcasting to people that really don't know me for the most part. And so that's one of the biggest things from a lot of these guys too that I talk to, with the big sales guys, the big network marketers and everything like that. Your network is your net worth, right? And so we have a lot of people, all of us, we all have a lot of people that we know. You're never going to run out of people. It's impossible to run out of people. And so if you've exhausted everybody on your Facebook and Instagram and contacts in your phone and everything like that, and you think you're out of people, you're not. There are plenty of more people. Your sister or your brothers, boss, or your kids at the soccer game, their parents, right? Or the teachers, the principals, what have you. There's always more people, right? You just have to go out there and get them. You just have to get in front of them somehow. And what's going to grab their attention? That's the trick. That's the big trick. Trying to figure out how you can bring this up, how you can initiate the conversation, and then set the appointment to, close them, right? Or get them signed up. And so one of the best things, the first intro grabbing line like that I always like to use is, hey, what do you know about crypto? Just to start, and then figure out, oh, if you don't know anything about crypto, well, you've heard of this and this, and you just have that conversation normally until you can throw TEXITcoin in there, right? And say, oh, I think we should have time. When are you going to have time to sit down and talk with me about this? This is something I got into, a couple months ago. I've now learned quite a bit about it. It's pretty amazing. I'd love to share it with you sometime. You know, when could we have a phone call, or when could we get together, have a cup of coffee, and talk about this, right? And most people are going to be gun shy at first, but through that process of following up, you will get them to turn the corner. Everybody out there wants to make money. Everybody out there could benefit from having a few $1,000s, an extra $1,000 a week or extra $3,000 a week, because they know people too. Not everybody's going to go out there and sell a bunch of people, bring on a bunch of people into this, but everybody knows 3 people, right? Everybody knows 3 or 4 people that can benefit from this. And so sometimes it takes people more time to catch on and figure this out. But it's something that if you help and you educate your downline, you educate these people that you're signing up, or these people that you're talking with and following up with, then that's what's going to lead to success as well. One thing that I did was I spent a lot of time after I signed somebody up just educating them about them, getting them as excited as I was to go out there and tell their loved ones or their friends, right, that they know. Because there's not anybody that I've ever ran into that can't benefit from daily income, generational wealth, or the extra grand or $2,000 or $3,000 a week that you can make just from referrals, right? A lot of people don't like the network marketing side of it or the referral side of it. And that's something, you don't have to tell them about it right away, because it's a choice. Even if they want to do it, they don't have to do it. It's up to them if they want to or not. And so, and if they ask you, you be completely honest with them and completely transparent. Yeah, this benefits me to sign you up, right? There is a referral based system in it. You don't have to do it, but it does benefit me if I do it, right? And I know how good this is, and I know what I'm doing, right? I know that, this is the only way that I can increase my mind power or get more coins or something like that. That's part of it. That's something that has to come out. You do have to be transparent and authentic about it when you're telling people what this whole project is about, right? That's what's got us to $120 million now brought into this project, just being genuine, authentic, following through on what we say we're going to do, and being transparent. Patrick says, I find myself in on the spot, unplanned approaches by unknowns, especially with TEXITcoin wrapped Mustang. Please share a few ways to capture their info, point them to your affiliate page, etc. So, if you found yourself in these on the spot, unplanned approaches, now that you've done it a couple times, you should be able to reflect and figure out what you think you could have done better, right? But going forward now, based on what you've ran into, what questions and everything that they're asking, because I'm sure people are asking, hey, what's this about? Hey, that's a nice car. What's this TEXITcoin about? Whatever type of questions you've got, you should be able to nail down about 2 or 3 good responses to like have that conversation. And so, depending on what they're, if they're asking you, hey, what's this about? You just need to say, this is the most exciting thing in crypto. This is a crypto project that started, about a year and a half ago. 84 weeks we're into this now. It's been one of the largest capital raises ever in the crypto world. And I'd love to share you the whole story sometime, right? I'm guessing that when you say that they're on the spot, unplanned approaches, that they're catching you somewhere at the gas station or wherever you're out driving around. I would say the goal is not try to give them too much info, not try to sell them right then or give them more info than what they need, but give them less. Sometimes less is more, right? Just tell them some exciting things, some exciting facts about it, and say, hey, I'd love to share this with you more. I got to get going. can I get your info? Can I follow up with you? And could we get on a phone call sometime to where I could really explain all this? Because I got to be honest, I've been in this a long time now, and if I can tell you everything and show you what this is, I think you'd like it too, right? And you're gonna get one of two responses. You're gonna be like, oh, no, 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 I don't like crypto. I don't want to do that, whatever. Or the people are gonna say yes, and then you can capture their info. If you're trying, or if you're giving them too much info, if you're telling them about the whole mission and the whole plan with TEXITcoin and everything like that, and they're saying, okay, that's cool or whatever, have a good day or whatever. You're probably giving them too much info at that point, right? Or if they're not wanting you to follow up with them, you might be giving them too much. Um, Patrick, I would not use. Well, you can use business cards if you want. I don't like using business cards because I'm just giving out my info to them and then hoping they follow up with me. I went, I don't do business cards for a reason. And that's because I want to collect everybody's info and I want to make sure that I'm in control and I can actually reach out to them, and I have their info. And so you can do business cards if you want, but more often than not, I literally just have people text me. I pull out my phone, I text them right then, trade all the info right there. That way I have their info. And then, I'm not just handing out a business card, because I can tell you right now, if you're not getting their info and you're just handing out that business card, nobody's ever going to call you back. People get handed business cards every single day. They go home, they throw them in the trash more often than not. And so business cards are kind of good to hand out, after you got their info, obviously, but it's not something I would just solely rely on. Like I personally don't ever do business cards. And it's because I keep everybody in my phone. Like this whole weekend when I was in Scottsdale, Arizona, with Coach Bud and all of our Texas. Well, we had like 7 Texas Rangers out there. We had 20 other TEXITcoin volunteers. We had a huge following out there. Everybody that I met, all those people with the $1 million bingo and everything, I literally just put all their info in my phone. Every one of them were trying to hand me a business card, and I have tons of business cards, but I was just putting them in my phone left and right, right? And I was making the notes on them, so that way when I go back and I can text them, I can say, "Oh, this is Patrick so and so, $1 million mingle," right? That's where I met him, right? Or leaving myself enough notes that way I can follow up with them, and I know exactly who they are, right? So business cards, up to you. I prefer to just put everybody in my phone. I give them 3-minute elevator pitch, but just jogging your brain for any other ideas. Yeah, like I said, I would always try to use that first. If somebody's the first contact, right? They're stopping the street. Hey, what stuff like that. I would always try to make sure that I have a follow up on either I'm going to text them, I'm going to call them, or next weekend they're wanting to go grab a cup of coffee or do this or that, and I can get with them then. But no matter what, every conversation you should always have a plan, and you should have it confirmed. I'm either going to text you, I'm going to call you, I'm going to email you, I'm going to do something to follow up. And so that way, when you are following up, it's not a surprise. It's not, hey, I seen you so and so the other day, and we talked about TEXITcoin. I just wanted to see if you're still interested. Did y'all lose me? Am I back now? I think I lost internet for just a minute. But anyway, what I was saying was, can anybody raise a hand? Anybody drop something in the Q&A if you can still hear me? I hope I didn't lose this whole meeting. anybody out there? Well, oh yeah, here we go. Okay. Okay. So, yeah. So what I was saying is, from that first point of contact, um, you don't have to just you don't want to puke all the information on those people. You do want to give them a little bit, grab their attention, uh, explain the hey, crypto project, but you know more. You want to follow up with me, so we can have that conversation about this because, oh man, am I cutting in and out really bad? My internet, I just got this new house in McKinney, and the internet is really poor. So I'm going to try to start doing these at the office where I have better internet. Um, but what I'm saying is that whole mission of the first time you talk to someone, if you're, at the grocery store, at the gas station, or whatever, and they stop you and say, "Hey, what's this about?" That whole first mission, the whole first point of that conversation is to have a specific way and time to follow. Sorry, everybody. I think I hope you heard that last part. You know that we want to make sure that we have a set day and time and how we follow up with people. My internet's cutting out really bad, so I'm probably going to end this short tonight. Um, but also, if you can't hear this, if you're still here, I don't know if you've seen this in Telegram or not today, but anybody that's in and around DFW or Texas, Oklahoma, anybody that wants to come in, we are having a contest to the first 100 people that can get a 1-2 free bonus this week. To the first 100 people, you are guaranteed a ticket at our Fort Worth rodeo this Saturday night during the Ranger Roundup. We're going to have all the brand new Texas Rangers there. Bobby will be there. Some of our other leadership will be there. But it will be guaranteeing you a ticket at the Fort Worth Rodeo if you want to come out, right? If you're not in around DFW, if you don't want to travel, if you don't want to make it, no problem. We'll just move on to the next person or someone else that's closer that can make it. But it's a 1-2 free. The first 100 people that get a 1-2 free bonus are going to be guaranteed a ticket. And then the top 10 miners, with the most 1-2 free bonuses this week, we're going to get you a VIP ticket. We have 36 VIP tickets that we're going to give. And so the top 10 miners, or we have 36 total. A lot of those are going to be for our newer Rangers, but I've got 10 reserved for the people that get the most 1-2 free bonuses. That's going to be our contest of the week. I'll try to bring it up again tomorrow on tomorrow night's call. If you guys have anything, any objections, anything you're running into that you guys want me to go over and you want me to discuss, just let me know. But I'm gonna cut this meeting short because my internet's pretty shoddy here, and I'll try to do a lot better next week. And then I got two questions here. Kala says, at the gala, they mentioned they were not going to be using Zoom anymore because of Friday breach. I don't know. I wasn't there. I was in Arizona, so I didn't get that message. As far as I know, for Tuesday night call and tonight, we're still on the same Zoom links. If not, that'll be in Telegram. We'll drop that into Telegram tomorrow if something has changed. But as far as I know of tonight, the same Tuesday night link is going to be where tomorrow night's call is. But let's have a great week. Like I said, 1-2 freeze, and you'll guarantee your spot at the rodeo this Saturday. But like I said, we have coming off a lot of good momentum over the weekend. So let's try to all have a good week. And if there's anything that you guys need from me, just reach out to me through Telegram. Has to be through Telegram. I get way too many Facebook fake messages and posts and friend requests. So I'm not doing Facebook for anybody anymore at all. So it has to be through Telegram. I'm very easily findable. I'm not hidden. Just search my name. It's Gaige. And if you guys have any questions, you can also email me. My email, gage@blockchainmint.com. We can set up a call and go over things, role play through different things if you want. I will share with you next week. We're going to have an exciting guest. We're going to do another interview style next week from one of our top producers, and so be on the lookout through Telegram who that'll be. And next week, I'll catch you guys again. Thanks and have a great night.